Hey guys, so this is the look that I created with the BH Cosmetics Royal Affair palette. Let you see up close. I wanted to do something different, so let's get started. Here's the palette. I'm gonna go in with the shade Palace, and I'm gonna use that as my transition. I have already concealed my eyelids and then set that with powder, so now I'm just going on top with the shadow because my eyes are pretty veiny. Just doing that on both eyes and just blending it. So I did have to really build that shade and layer it up. It was starting to look a little creasy. I don't know if it's because my eyes are so hooded or if it's because I wasn't placing the shadow carefully or properly. So I'm going in with a pointed brush, a pointed crease brush, and I'm using this shade Duchess right next to that to create some depth and to really define my eyes and make them look a little larger. I feel like my eyes are really small. And this shadow kind of did the same thing. I don't know, I think the shadows were okay. I think it was more of a user error, but I'm just going in and blending that. Just a side note, I did purchase a camera that shoots in 4K in a new editing program, so this is probably the last video you'll see that has been filmed from my phone. Now I'm gonna go in with the shade Regal, and this was like the Energizer Bunny of the palette. It was really pigmented and smooth and easy to blend, and you could just, like, I could just keep blending and blending and blending this, and it would just keep blending out. I really like this color. I think it would be lighter if I had not laid down the two previous colors underneath, so I'm glad that I did that. Notice how I'm leaving the lid bare. That's because I'm gonna go in with a different shade there, and so it's gonna be a lot easier to lay that down without the pink dark colors underneath it. Okay, so now I'm going to take the shade Aristocrat, and I want that to be really pigmented, so I'm attempting a cut crease here. It's where you take a concealer and you put it on your lid, and then you look up to see how far that shade would transfer. And when I say transfer, I mean when I close my eyes, that shadow eventually will rub off on my upper lid and kind of cover up the pink. So I blended the pink past it. Now I'm using the concealer to kind of start with a fresh base for this shadow because it is a completely different tone and color, and I really wanted to have that nice contrast. The best way for a cut crease to work is when you use two colors that are very different from each other. So that is what I'm doing here. So now after I've added that metallic shade on both lids, I'm just going in to touch up and kind of blend that pink a little further up. I know that this look is very dramatic and not everyone will like it or be willing to try it. And then I'm kind of going on the edges of that metallic color just so there's a nice gradient and fade between the two colors since they are very different colors. And now I'm just taking the black just a little bit on a very small pencil brush and just kind of dabbing it on very lightly. I don't like to use a lot of black, and I almost peeled off my tape too soon. And then I just blended that black. Now I need a winged liner. I feel since this look is so dramatic, it would look really weird if I didn't have a black winged liner. So I'm just doing that. The only way I can do this is with tape because I am not very good at it free-handed. Okay, so I realized I forgot to mention all of the products will be listed down below in the description, and please forgive all the weird faces I make. Sometimes I don't realize it until I watch the video back, and that's just the beauty of it. So you can see I blended a little past the tape, but that's okay. You can go in with a tissue or a makeup wipe and just wipe that and clean that up. I am being weird. And I always like to drink coffee or something while I'm doing my makeup. I don't know, this is just my relaxing time. Now I'm taking the base tape primer and I'm gonna go in and prime now. This is kind of a hydrating, sticky-ish primer, and I'm doing it after I take off my tape because if I did it before, the tape would take some of it off. Now I'm using the Loreal Pro Glow foundation in shade 202. I love this foundation. It is probably my favorite drugstore foundation. I highly recommend it if you have kind of like drier skin, and this is also the only foundation that I think I can blend out well with a brush or a sponge. Now, as you'll see in a second, I am going to take this foundation down onto my neck and blend it. That is so my face and neck are the same color. If your face is lighter or darker than your neck, you want to match it to your neck. You don't want to have a dark neck and then a really light face, or a really light neck and a really dark face. It just doesn't look cohesive. Blending it this way is much more polished. So now I am just kind of highlighting and concealing under the eyes. That's very important when you're using pink or purple colors. Those colors can really accentuate your under eye circles, so you want to make sure that's covered well. And I'm using the Makeup Revolution concealer. It's my favorite one. And as you can see, I've used it to kind of highlight my chin and nose a little bit because it is just a shade or two lighter than the foundation. I was looking for my powder and it was right in front of my face. I've had so many of those moments, and I use this Coty Airspun to set my entire face. You can get this at Walmart or Target. It's actually over by the nail polish section. So I just set my under eyes and my whole face with it. I don't really use like a lot of different powders on my face. I just use one setting powder, and then I'm gonna go in and add this shadow to my lower lash line. I don't feel like the look is complete. I do this with just about any eyeshadow look that I wear. So I take the pink shade and blend that underneath, and then I'll take the black and kind of go just on the outer corner. This is the Maybelline City Bronzer in the shade 100. I think it is the lightest shade, and I do recommend it if you are pale or have very fair skin. And at this moment, I realize that I look just like my dad. If you know him, you will see it. Then I take this Profusion blush, just blend that. I don't like a lot of blush, but I'm using the cooler tone one to match the cool tones on the eyes. Then I'm gonna use my Ofra highlighter in the shade Star Island, I believe. It's just a champagne kind of color. I love to highlight my cheeks, my nose, chin, Cupid's bow. I just like a really glowing, healthy complexion. So now I'm brushing out any powder or foundation that may have gotten into my brow hairs. And you may notice that I don't have very good brows, and I used to have a tail, but I plucked it so I could draw them up higher. The way they were previously, they really drug my face down, so I had to pluck it so that I could draw them up higher. This is the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in medium brown, and I realized this may be a little heavy or a little much for a lot of people, and that's okay. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You can just use a pencil. NYX, ELF, Morphe, they all make great brow pencils. But when you are kind of starting from scratch, you need something that is a bit of a different consistency, like a pomade. Now, when I used to use a pencil or powders, I never did this, but with a pomade, it's very easy to go overboard or mess up or get smudgy. So I'm just going to take my concealer on a small brush and just clean up just barely underneath the brow. I don't want to go too far down to mess up the eyeshadow. And then I'm going to take, I don't know why I used this Milani shade, just a vanilla shade. The BH Cosmetics palette had one in it, so I don't really know why I pulled this one out, but just a matte kind of vanilla color to highlight underneath my brows. So now I'm going to use a black pencil liner to line my waterline. I really like this effect. It may look painful, but I promise you it's not. You just have to be gentle. And now I'm gonna apply mascara. This is the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. No, it's mascara. And this is my favorite one. It's very affordable. You can find Essence at Ulta. I'm also gonna be using one of their lip liners and just kind of a natural pinky nude kind of shade, just to line and see where I want to put my lipstick. I'm taking a L'Oreal Infallible lipstick. I can't remember the color, but it's kind of a cool toned pink. These are actually a pretty cool formula because it goes on looking a little glossy and shiny, but it dries down to a more of a matte finish and lasts a really long time. And I just think that it suits the eyes a lot better. These are Morphe lashes. I think they're in the style Hollywood Hills. They're just really wispy and kind of lengthening. So what I was doing was I applied the lash glue, and then you have to let it dry actually a little bit and get kind of tacky. If you go in immediately after you put the glue on the lash, it's not going to stick, it's going to slide around. So you want to wait for the glue to get tacky, and I don't have any special way of putting them on. I have to use my fingers. They're the best tools for me. If I use any kind of tweezers or something, I always just end up messing them up. I'm just taking that same Ofra highlighter that I used on my cheeks and nose and stuff and putting it on my inner corners to really open up my eyes. I am trying to make them appear a little larger and more open than they naturally are. So that is a great tip, and I always do it. So I took the Wet n Wild setting spray, I dipped my brush back into that shimmery lid shade and then sprayed my brush so it could go on much more vibrant, more metallic, more pigmented. And that's going to be the end of this look. Let me know what you guys think. It was a lot of work for me to do this voiceover, so please give me a thumbs up. Let me know what else you would like to see from me. And I appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe for more. I'm going to upload every Saturday. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.